Time the bracha.
Ajá.
We begin today a new Hasidic discourse, Mimer. Said in 1980, the 10th of Kislev, which was a day of the Mittler Rebbe, the second Rebbe, the Alter Rebbe's son, released from prison in 1826, just a few years ago. It's almost 200 years ago. Wow. 198 years ago. Okay. And it's with the famous verse of Hadav Shalom, which were the words that the Alter Rebbe, his father, when he was released from prison, he was saying in Tehillim, chapter 55, upon his release. So, Hadav Shalom Nafshi, he redeemed my soul with peace. Mikrav li, from a battle that came upon me, Kivirabim hayu imadi, because the many people were with me. So that's the Mitzvah Rebbe, in this phrase of them, my soul's redeemed in peace, is describing a type of redemption which occurred. Then, rather than a redemption through war, hear that? Redemption through war. A war the last year in Israel, which requires effort to overcome the enemy. There's a redemption through peace that occurs with the enemy disappears completely, making war unnecessary. Wow. For that, we need l'chaim. So the Mittler Rebbe continues to explain the type of peace resembles a peace of the times, resembles a peace, the time of Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon. All nations were subjugated to him automatically. There was no need for war. And in fact, David HaMelech, of course, who is King Solomon's father, explained to him that this is why he was named Shlomo. Hashem said to David, the King David, behold, a son will be born to you. He will be a man of peace, right? Because King David was a man of battle, right? That's what he was, a man of battle. So God says to him that he will be a man of peace, and I shall give him peace from all his enemies from around him. For Shloimish will be his name. For I shall give peace, shalom, shloime, shalom. Same words, same letters, right? Just in the word shloime is shalom with a hey on it. So there will be peace and quiet in Israel in his days, and which in fact was. However, the state of peace during the time of Shlomo was not the ultimate peace. It's not the ultimate state of peace, although it was. During the time of Shlomo, the nations were at peace with the Jews, but the peace was not complete. The Rebbe will explain this later. Excuse me. Explain it later. But when will the ultimate peace be reached? In the times of Mashiach. At that time, the spirit of impurity, klipa as we know it, the shell that covers over unholiness, right? What is the nature of klipa? Is the nature of feeling independent of God. It's not denying God. It's feeling independent of God. God's something, but I'm also something. Right? That's klipa. It will be completely destroyed, and that will enable the nations of the world to be transformed into holiness because there won't be any klipa to prevent that transformation. Psh, very powerful. That's why in the times of Mashiach, all nations shall automatically stream towards the Holy Temple, the Beis Hamikdash, because the klipa will be destroyed, and automatically, if klipa is destroyed, if the shell, that force, that I feel an independence from God, I feel my own significance rather than my divine nature. Well, when that's all gone with, then automatically we come and we're attracted towards holiness. Many of you are like that today, right? You're up early in the morning, some of you very early in the morning, because you're attracted to holiness. But it won't just be the few that are here today. It will be everyone. So additionally, it even says about animals that they will transform. Now, this is all in the Mittler Rebbe, the second Lubavitcher Rebbe, Dave Bear, and his discourse. Okay. That even animals that are harmful, they won't be destructive. The negative nature of predatory behavior will also be eliminated. Whoa. So the Rebbe learns in his mimer that since there's many verses, and he's quoting a verse. So there are many verses about the times of redemption, times of Mashiach. The fact that Mittler Rebbe chose such a verse is to speak about a second time period in the times of Mashiach. Chassidus explains there are two different stages in the times of Mashiach. The first stage, Jews will return to Israel and build the third holy temple, third and final holy temple. But the world will continue to function according to the rules of nature. The second stage, the world will function in a miraculous way, including resurrection of the dead. So the fact that the Mittler Rebbe in the Mimer speaks about a lion like cattle that shall eat straw is speaking about the second stage of Mashiach. So why can't we reach the ultimate redemption through peace until the second stage? Why not in the first stage? So this is all a springboard to go into the, shall we say, the meat of the mimer. And that is to understand the difference between the refinement that takes place through the study of Torah, as we're doing it, versus prayer, which soon we'll be doing. L'chaim. Okay, that's where we're going. In both instances, there's a refinement. Torah study and prayer. So the Mittler Rebbe explains in his Hasidic discourse that Pod B'Shalom, peaceful redemption, can also be achieved today in Golus, in exile, through the study of Torah. Because what does the study of Torah do? It nullifies the evil klipa itself, the shell that covers over on the holiness of God. And how does it do it distinctively from davening? Learning Torah, there's no battle involved. Prayer, there's a battle involved. As the Zohar says, the time of davening is a time of war. That's what prayer is. It's a war, right? Prayer, okay, we'll see. What does that mean? So firstly, when in a time of war, that means the refinement. We're talking about a refinement through war, right? You have to intimately be aware of your enemy. And you have to enter the enemy's territory. Wow. On the other hand, when the refinement comes through not war, but peace, right? You don't have to deal directly with your enemy, right? There's still a refinement. There's still the one who's against, but you're not going into their territory. You stay in your place. And the refinement happens automatically when you shine the light. You shine the light, it transforms even from far. Wow. So this is a time of Shlomo. King Solomon reflects the second approach, right? King Solomon, with his great fame amongst the nations, they would come on their own to see him. He didn't have to battle any other nations. They would come to him. No war. There was no war in his days. Right? He didn't have to prove his superiority. As is known from the Queen of Sheba, she heard of King Solomon's fame because of the name of God. So she came to Jerusalem as an example. And we see this on a practical level, the difference between learning Torah and davening, right? We're using the metaphor of a battle in peace to be redeemed in peace, which means there's a battle, but you're not battling. It's automatic, right? As in the times of King Solomon, he didn't have to battle other nations. The light of Jerusalem was so powerful. His name was so great that people came, leaders of nations, kings and queens. That's all a metaphor for what we want to understand What do we understand? That during prayer, one needs to think about Hashem in a way that the animal soul can relate to. Who's the animal soul? The enemy. What does the animal soul want? It wants to relate to comfort. It wants to relate to pleasure. That's its natural experience. Now comes the godly soul to come and daven, to pray. So the godly soul, yeah, it experiences godliness, but that's not the point of prayer. The point of prayer is to bring that experience to the animal soul, an animal soul that relates to tangible things, and connecting to God in prayer is not a tangible thing. And to make it tangible for the animal soul, and that the animal soul should also sense the benefit, because that's what the animal soul is all about. What's in it for me? So that prayer and connection to God is something in it for the animal soul. So prayer is about systematically talking to the animal soul that is also a creation of God, and how it should appreciate closeness to God that comes through the performance of Torah and mitzvahs. Which means the godly soul has to lower itself, right? And relate to the animal soul and to its comprehension to enable the godly soul to transform the animal soul on its terms. That's a battle. That's a battle. However, when it comes to learning Torah, as we're doing now, the subject being discussed is refined automatically. So, for example, if you're learning the laws of kosher meat, the meat itself becomes refined without a direct involvement with the meat itself. Rather, when the Torah is learned, the topic of meat, the overall status of meat of the world becomes holier and more refined existence. You're talking about meat. You're not dealing with the meat, right? You're talking about the status of it in the law, for example, right? To clarify the halacha, to determine whether this piece of meat, for example, is permitted or forbidden, right? So are you battling with meat? Now, if you were about to eat the meat and make a prayer over the meat, that's not learning about the meat, that's engaging with the meat. Will be a struggle. Is the meat controlling me, or am I controlling the meat? Right? Is the food a vehicle that's going to be elevated, or is it going to be something that will be diminished in the sense that I become diminished because it's controlling me? That's a battle, right? Where is that ultimate battle that you engage is in prayer. Because in prayer, you're engaging the animals in us, the animal soul in us, that it too should appreciate. It too wants that it too should connect to the divine. Well, you have to talk its language. You have to get into its territory. When you're studying Torah, that's not the case. You're not going into the meat's territory. You're discussing the parameter and law about the meat. So, and through that, it's not a direct engagement, it's indirect. By clarifying the halakha, the Jewish law, permitted, not permitted. So it's not a direct involvement. And the refinement, you refined, so to speak, the world of meat in an abstract sense, right? Because you're kind of distant from the physical meat in your engagement with it. It's about the topic of the meat, kosher, not kosher, right? Permitted, forbidden. More to come. And understand, even in Torah study, there'll be a distinction. Oh my gosh. I don't know why this is coming automatically all of a sudden. We will understand in Torah study, they'll also make a distinction between that which is automatic and that which you got to gauge more of a battle, so to speak. Right? But the amazing thing is how a battle could be won through prayer and Torah study. We get a picture over here of how the enemy from without, here it's the enemy from within, of course, right? But when you deal with the enemy from within, then that gives us, that is reflected from the microcosm into the macrocosm, the macro world of the enemy from without to conquer them. That's just, accentuates the great need to study Torah,